How do I heal from a narcissistic marriage? Well, that's a really huge question, isn't it? Whether you're a man or a woman, and if you've been in a relationship with a narcissist, whether they're diagnosed with full blown NPD or whether they have simply displayed a lot of the traits and their behaviors, the way they have affected you is the same. And one of the main issues facing all of us when we've come to this realization, whether you're still in this relationship or whether you've been able to get free like I did. I'm talking from experience here. The big question for all of us is, wow, now that I can see this mess, what do I do? How do I heal? And what we're asking is, how do I heal from the way all of this left me feeling about myself? How do I heal from what I now believe about myself, um, from the situation, the circumstances, the financial damage? Sure, that can be a reality most of the time. But for most of us, the huge problem that we're left with is that we have lost ourselves. We've lost any sense of ourselves, of the fact that we have a voice, that our opinion, that our hopes, dreams, our happiness, our plans, that really, that anything about ourselves has any value. And as I talk you through the elements of healing, as it were, let's start at the beginning. And I want you to understand that your brush with narcissism didn't begin with this relationship. As adults, we repeat patterns, and in our relationships, we repeat the patterns that we observed in our childhood. Which is why, if you're a parent with children, it's very important that you understand that your children are learning from you, from your partner, from the adults around you. So think about their grandparents, their uncles, their aunts. They're learning all the time. And the narcissistic pattern, the narcissistic relationship that you have been in is somehow related to significant past relationships. And whether you can see that your parents were actual narcissists or whether there was just a controlling behavior, an expectation that you would somehow conform, whether there was serious criticism, expectations about who you would be. As I bring this to your attention, you can start to see that what you've done in this relationship is that you have somehow repeated a pattern, and that the beliefs that you had about yourself, they might have been less than they were, or maybe they were exactly what they were, but it's those beliefs that were already in place. And this relationship has been a continuation. It's been a relationship that confirmed, or intensified or amplified what you already thought about yourself. And it's very important in the healing process that you understand that there is a pattern here that needs to be broken. The root causes of it need to be understood, and then all of the thoughts and the behaviors and the actions and the results that they then create need to be looked at to see where they come from. Because when you can understand, you can then look at them and say, okay, so I understand where this came from. I know what's sitting behind it. Now I need to change it. Quite a few points here, so let's have a look at. Okay, so the next one is one of the biggest problems. One of the things that you need to heal is that a narcissistic relationship with anyone will make you believe certain things about yourself. And one of the important aspects of healing is to understand that in no way are you who you were made to believe you are. It's highly likely that your narcissistic relationship made you believe that you are someone who always gets things wrong, that you can't trust yourself, that you can't trust your judgment, that you make the wrong decisions, you say the wrong things, you choose the wrong people, you wear the wrong things. All of this comes into play. And I'm sure you can, there are multiples of that. And as you hear that, I'm sure you can hear the truth in how you have somehow, it's designed to completely undermine who you think you are. It's designed to take all control away so that you feel completely dependent on someone else's opinion, because you certainly can't trust your own. It takes away your right to think that you even have the right to have an opinion. All of that and so much more comes into play, and it's important to understand that none of that is real, and that as a person you have value, you have worth. And if you question these self your if you question what I'm saying, you need to look at this and say, well, why would I have no value? Why would I have no worth? And you start to see the irrelevance of what you have been told, um, and how it is not true, how it's all been done to undermine and diminish you. And here's something you have to remember, that people who will diminish and undermine and try to control you, we only do that ever to things that we fear. All right. So the person doing that to you actually feared your ability, feared who you might be if they didn't control you. And that's a really, really big realization. And it's so important in the healing process because it's a step that causes you to understand that you are so much more than you thought you were. And then for the next one, to heal from a narcissistic relationship, you need to find yourself again. The fact is that you have lost yourself. You've become completely disconnected from who you were. Think about this, from your friends, from your interests, from your hobbies, from all your hopes, your dreams, your goals, everything that you believed about yourself before you were in this relationship, everything that you wanted for yourself. You have been you have been made or advised or caused or manipulated, all of those things, to let go of. You've actually been taught to dissociate, to disconnect from your true self, from your spirit, from your soul, from the essence of you. And part of the healing journey is going to be reconnecting with yourself, reconnecting with your ideas, your beliefs, your opinions, your values, your boundaries, all of those things. It's about reconnecting with yourself and realizing in the beginning that you have lost yourself, that in this relationship you totally lost yourself. And as to heal, you need to get back. You don't even need to get back to who you were. You now have the opportunity to create a totally new version of yourself with everything that you now know, because what you want to do is break the pattern of the past. You want to be someone who is not going to allow this pattern to continue. And this goes on to the next one, which is about to heal. You need to question your beliefs. You need to question your beliefs about yourself, what you've been taught. They're not your beliefs, they're someone else's. You've adopted them. You've heard them so often that you've taken them on as your own. What you need to do is start to question the things that you are saying to yourself, about your life, about the world, about other people. This lens through which you're currently seeing the world, this perspective that you have, it's not yours, it's someone else's. It's what you've taken on because of the situation, the circumstance, the relationship that you were in. And part of your healing process is going to be to very seriously question those beliefs and work out what's true and what's not. You need to change these beliefs. That's the next part. Look at these beliefs and say, well, if I choose not to believe that I don't have any value and worth, then I'm telling myself that I do have value and worth. So, what is it about me that has value and worth? And start to look at your values, look at your characteristics, your traits, look at your goodness, your kindness, your empathy, your love, all of the things about you that you can see are good and positive things. It really is about questioning these old beliefs, all the negative and critical chatter that you've been taught, that has been instilled into you, questioning it and changing it with what you actually see and know as the truth. It's about removing all of the negative and leaving space for a much more positive focus about yourself. Repetition, the mind learns by repetition. And the reason this relationship has been so damaging, and the ones before, is because, not because you were occasionally told that you did something wrong or made to feel bad about who you are, your appearance, how you do something, but because it was relentless. It was repeated over and over and over, and literally left no room for anything else. And in the end, your mind, because it learns by repetition, your mind heard and saw these things so often with nothing to counter it and nothing to balance it, that you've actually taken it on as if it's the truth. And exactly the same thing can be done. What your mind has created, your mind can uncreate. And what you have to do is to constantly and consistently question these beliefs, these ideas, and replace them with new thoughts that focus on the positive about you rather than the negative. And there's also a lot to be said for finding and creating safety in loving relationships. I'm going to say more about it, but what you mustn't do is dive straight into another relationship. We'll come on to that. But now some people when they start to look at the narcissist in their life, they'll literally look around, remember we're repeating patterns, and they will realize that almost everyone in their life is a narcissist or has really strong narcissistic traits. And it's a question of then recognizing those and realizing, well, those people aren't safe for me. Those people don't want the best for me. They are not empowering, supporting, encouraging, and appreciating me. So there's no safety there. So it's a question of looking in your life for the people who are safe, the safety of loving and supportive relationships. There's so much healing in these relationships when you know that someone loves you, someone cares about you, someone wants the best for you. That person can be a really great support, a reference point, an anchor. And we all need those relationships in our lives. So start to seek out those people, start to work out who are the people that don't have your best interests at heart, and who are the ones that you can really, really trust to help you through this, and to help you see the wood for the trees as you move forward. And as you do this, one of the things you really need to do is to put boundaries and rules in place for yourself. And we always think as boundaries and rules as a very negative thing, because as someone who's been in a narcissistic relationship, you've learned to please people. You've learned to just do what that person says, because there's safety in that. It avoids conflict, it avoids drama, all the chaos, the confusion that gets created. But that is an unhealthy relationship. And if you're going to start to move forward in a healthy way, you need to learn to put boundaries in place for yourself, because it's the boundaries that create safety. And for healthy people, we love boundaries. We want to know what other people's boundaries are, and we want them to know ours, because it tells everyone what the rules are. You know, if you're going to be in my life, this is what I require, and please tell me what you require too. You know, it's like, I use the analogy of playing a board game. You can't play a board game without rules, because no one knows how to win. No one knows how to do this in a fun, joyful way. And life is exactly the same. Our boundaries are our rules, and they create safety, they create certainty and security, and we absolutely need to have them in place. And healthy people want and expect them. And here's what I was saying before. There's many, many points, obviously. I mean, literally, we could talk for hours about this, but these are the most important ones. And I wanted to go back to what I told you about not immediately falling into another relationship. You absolutely must do the work on yourself first. You must understand why you were in this relationship, and it's all about why don't I love myself? Why don't I believe that I deserve more? How did I allow this to happen? What was my role? What was my part? It's really about taking ownership, because what you take ownership of, you can begin to understand and you can change. You're not relying on people outside of you. But what will happen if you come out of a narcissistic relationship as the person that you are, so hurt and so damaged? Just remember that a narcissist, or people with those traits, people who want to control, to manipulate, they're not looking for a partner, they're not looking for a relationship, they're looking for prey. And you are going to turn up as wounded, as vulnerable. And you know the pattern. They are going to play on that and realize that in you is someone that they can use and manipulate and diminish very easily for their supply. Occasionally it doesn't happen, but for most people that come out of a narcissistic relationship without doing the really deep healing work, they go into another relationship that is a pattern repeat. It has all the traits, or most of the traits, or a lot of damaging traits of the relationships that they have already been in. It was a real shock to me to realize that my long narcissistic marriage wasn't my first narcissistic relationship. Okay. So, and I just want to say, talking about all of these things, as a clinical hypnotherapist, I work with the subconscious, because it's in the subconscious that all of these beliefs, all of these ideas are held and projected. And the work that I do with my clients on overcoming narcissistic relationships is very different to anything else that you will have seen or heard, because we have a focus on the subconscious. And when we work with the subconscious, which is where all this stuff is created, held, and projected, we can get serious results very, very fast. And if you'd like to know more about that, the links are below. You can reach out to me and find out more about that. And if not, then I just seriously hope that the free content that I'm providing continues to help you and to give you perspective and understanding. And so that's it for now. Until the next video. Thanks very much for watching. Oh, don't forget, if you enjoyed the video, press the like button for me. Leave a comment. Be great to hear your comments about this. If you want to be notified of my videos as I release them, subscribe, and with the notifications button, press all notifications and select all, so that you get all the notifications for the videos that I send out. I don't send out that many, you won't be inundated, and hopefully they'll help you a lot. All right, thanks for watching. Catch you again soon.